What is up? This is my long overdue member stream that I promised. So obviously, there's nobody here yet, so I'm just talking to myself. So, but if you are coming late, well, welcome. Thanks for being here. I figure I'm just here to chill. Just have conversations, and if I'm by myself, I'll just talk to myself this entire time. So, I'll be honest, I really did enjoy. I did. I mean, it took a lot, but it was really cool doing the Wheel of Time video or the Wheel of Prime video I did yesterday. So what's up, Gadfly? So yeah, there's there's in the if you want to come on, if you're a member, you have access to come on. It's either in the members on my Discord or in the community. So if you want to come on and chat for a little bit, that's great. I mean, that's the point of having this member stream. And plus, incentivize members and get like you were gifted a membership. I think it's probably salty gifted you the membership. So, but man, it's good to wow. I didn't even think anybody would be here. So, um, not as popular as Steve, because Steve on the hypes and everything. He's been building his thing, and I'm really proud of him. So, but yeah, and we got Dempsey here too. So what's up, gentlemen? You guys are both members. Come on if you want to. So, yeah. So, um, but yeah, I'm just not. I just haven't really planned this. It's just like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. Might as well have the 3,000 sub member thing. So, um, was thinking, video, probably my next video, which shouldn't take too long. I'll have to come up with what state incorporeal actually means. I did make a video. It's my 5th video about what means to be incorporeal. It sounds like it's basically it was a 100 sub milestone. It sounds like a massive virtue signal right there. So, oh my God, got my intellectual brother from another mother. What's going on, sir? You're muted. You're still muted.
Of course. Hit the mute button so that there wouldn't be echoes. But
how you doing?
I'm doing well. My first Cerebro. I'm gonna get some more Cerebros so we can,
I gotta read more to be a Cerebro.
Exercise our brains, right?
Yeah, I mean, every time for me, based on all you guys, the way you guys all talk in the Band of the Red Hand Discord, just I have to look up words every time you guys say something, because I'm like, okay, what are they talking about? What are they talking about? What are they talking about? I need to know the context. So yeah, I especially because I'm reading now more, I look everything up. If I don't understand context or something, I look it up right away. So, yeah, I'm actually getting further. I'm on chapter 5 of the Shadow Rising right now. So my goal is to have a stream up by what do you call it? By the end of Wheel of Prime. So everybody's gonna be drained from Wheel of Prime next week. So that Sunday,
I hope pick me up.
Exactly. And my latest video, Steve says I've been reading the Shadow Rising for 2.5 years, so I have to prove him wrong. Right there. So, we got Krista Dempsey. So what's up, Krista Dempsey and the wife? So what's going on? How you guys doing? So yeah. So what have you been up to?
Not much. First of all, I said this while muted, but congratulations on 3,000. It's a nice milestone.
Thank you.
But yeah, I've been still doing my master's stuff off and on, still doing teaching stuff off and on. I'm not teaching this term because that university politics.
Oh yeah.
But I am tutoring some stuff, so that's pretty cool.
What master's?
Master's in classics. So I've got my honors in medieval studies, my honors in classical studies, my certification of blacksmithing, and now hopefully the MA in classics.
Okay. when you say honors, what do you mean exactly? Because I mean, I know honors college, but is it different from is it like a degree or something?
I well, it's um, technically on a piece of paper, it doesn't mean much to most people, but it's important to me because it was the more challenging of the programs. It had a higher qualification for success. So, and it reinforces that I did the languages,
Oh, okay,
uh,
makes sense.
which uh, which is one of the things that I think is so stupid going on with classics right now. Is um, so many universities out there are no longer requiring students to do either Greek or Latin. They don't have to do. It used to be everybody had to do both, and then they changed it to everybody does one or the other, and now it's you don't have to do either one. And I think that's stupid because if you're going to be studying ancient Greece and Rome, you might want to have
Yeah.
access to the primary materials, right?
Dumb question for you. Classics, is the classics strictly Greek, ancient Greece, and ancient Rome, or is there more to it?
Yeah, it's sort of an examination of that broad range time period around the Mediterranean.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes from the tail end of the Egyptians and the Bronze Age. So it
Okay.
starts with like the Minoans,
Mm-hmm.
goes through the Bronze Age, through the Mycenaean Age, so the age of the Iliad and the Odyssey,
Yeah.
into the quote unquote classical period, which is the classical Greek stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Athens and Sparta and the Peloponnesian Wars, the Persian Wars, and then on into the Roman era.
Okay.
But yeah.
I forget the Iliad and the Odyssey. I mean, I know that's Homer, and I think Homer lived or is believed to have lived like before like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, way
so
before them, right? Like hundreds of years before them.
They were published. Best estimate is about 500 BC.
Okay.
And so Plato and Aristotle come out 100 and something years later. So
okay.
Yeah.
Been to learn some of the classics, on my own time, obviously. Like you couldn't get me to do philosophy back in the day unless you like strap me to a dentist seat and rip my teeth out to get me to read it. The one philosophy class I took for college for my elective was it was all about love. So we talked about, I think the book we used was Plato Symposium was the main thing. We also did I think we read Self-Reliant by Emerson, and actually like that one. I read that in American Lit in high school. So it's probably the only thing I actually did like because I could relate because I'm a bit of a loner. I'm a bit, when it comes to personality, I'm a bit of a loner. So, but yeah, I mean, and we did some Shakespeare and I try watching a movie totally in Shakespeare and Shakespeare's language. And I'm just like, what are they saying? What are they saying? What are they saying? I have to read Shakespeare. I can't listen to Shakespeare. So, we got another guest, by the way. Got on his debut on the channel, LPK. What's going on, sir? Welcome.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Perfect. Always works. Hey, Gadfly.
How's it going?
It's good, amigo. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Is this the first stream we've been on together?
I believe it is. And the first, second
God.
with Territorial, because I was having major technical difficulties the first one.
When were we on together?
Some kind of bizarre chill stream with Pips, very impromptu.
Okay. Maybe it was. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just doing the robot voice style.
Oh, okay. I think maybe it was about. Was it about? Maybe it was not a movie. I'm not sure what it was.
But congratulations on the 3,000 subscribers.
Thank you. It's
the baby grows.
It's I know, because Salty and Prophet say my content's more evergreen because I do retrospectives instead of, I don't cover the news. Well, I mean, I tried to cover the news and I get like maybe 10, 20 views and that's it. So, but I mainly do like reviews and retrospectives, and I try to keep it like it's mainly about me. So, and what's funny is I release them, I get maybe a couple hundred because I'm not that strong in the algorithm like, bigger channels are. Like, the moment they upload something, they get thousands of views, they get hundreds and hundreds to maybe 1,000 likes within the first 2 hours. Me, I'm lucky I get, I consider like 100 to 200 likes, or not likes, 100 to 200 views success. So this Wheel of Time season 2 thing that I just put up is actually doing really well, and I'm not a Wheel of Time channel, so I was expecting like maybe 50 views, 100 views. I'm not Prophet, I'm not Salty, I'm not the White Cloaks, where they're Wheel of Time channels more or less. So
it's hard to keep up with the level of animosity that those like I hate the show, but I've learned that there's different levels of hatred in some people that I can't approach, and I can't even attempt it.
Yeah,
I wish I could, but I can't. I'm very impressed.
It's it was Alex's idea, so that's why I say fuck you at the end of that video to Alex. And then I just wanted, the type of humor that I laugh at, I like it when I'm the heel. I'm usually the bad guy, and then everything kind of fuck around, find out type of deal. So I'm saying all the shit, and then it just comes back to me. So, and that's why I got, like, every time I said something, I always had, Pips or everyone, all of them saying, fuck you, dude. You're just an asshole, which is true. So
I was wondering why he kept doing that to you.
Yeah. That's the nature of our relationship. And Alex, I don't know if you guys listened. Did you guys listen to the video? Alex, everything that Alex said is me writing for Alex. So I wrote that based on how Alex talks. And so it might have, so people would think, people actually probably thought that he actually was saying that. I actually wrote that. That's why he was like this, and then he was looking at the screen. That's why I kept, he kept looking at the screen and then looking at the camera because of that. So I gotta read the super chat from Lyle Hammock. $10. Thank you. Didn't have to do that. It's a member stream. Hello, what's up, Nerdporio? Congrats on 3,000. Here's a little something for you. Hail to my friend, and here's to many more subs in the future. Lyle, thank you so much. I am sorry that Wheel of Time or Wheel of Prime is the way it is right now. So, and look who we got here. Look who's here. There's my streaming bro. Come on in. If you're not doing anything, come on in. The link's up. And we got some. Okay, cool. So you guys liking the season so far? I mean, is it worse than season 1? Is it better than Rings of Power? I'm just curious how you guys feel about this new season, because it was fun. It's fun watching the chats during the live watches on the Band of the Red Hand. So I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
I have to be entirely honest in that I have not watched this season at all, really. I got through the first episode of season 1, 5 minutes of the second episode, and I turned it off, and I was like, this is garbage. But the stuff that's coming out with season 2 is it's the first time I've actually been genuinely furious at the stuff going on with the show. So I'm just not watching it. But I'm still here to support all the the White Cloaks and Prophet and yourself and Lady B and Man of Anetherin when you cover it, because trash has to get called out as trash, right?
Yeah, because one thing I've been noticing more and more lately, and I'll hold that thought. I want to thank for $5. I want to thank Pacific 414. He was one of the earliest people I've ever streamed with. He just hit monetization himself. He has Pop Talk and everything. Well, Mike, I appreciate you stopping by and putting this out there. I mean, you're great. You have a great channel. You have a great relationship with the people that you stream with. Have to get you guys on sometime, because right now I'm sticking with. Right now I'm having members on first, but I want to reach out to other content creators and have them on for Chillporial as well. So hail, sir, hail, thank you. Yeah, he was actually the first channel I've ever streamed on outside of, well, I never streamed on even on my own channel. I was on his channel talking Star Trek, because part of the reason why I started this channel was more people were liking the newer Star Trek. I was just like, no, the newer stuff is garbage. Even the stuff that people say is good. So like you said, there's different levels of hate and there's different levels of love. And like, I'll be honest, like people are just so eager to, like, if the moment they see fan service, they eat it up like it's candy. And that's exactly what it is. It's candy, but it's no good for you. It's all sugar.
If we want to use the words of love, the fan service is like Eros. It's that instantaneous desire and gratification. Whereas,
and it's fleeting. And
the real fans, the real fanatics have the philia and the agape love towards the material.
That's poetic. That's
beautiful. Look who we got. What's happening?
5 minutes for you. I'm at work, man. I mean, the poo's gonna go into the river. All right.
That's true. So is that your office? Like, do you have like a big Coca-Cola desk?
No.
It's a break room.
This is just I should be in the I could be in the conference room, but I'm training somebody, so they need the lab. So
you're using you bring your laptop to work or something?
What's that?
You using a laptop? You bring a laptop to work, or
we get Surfaces here, so it's a company
nice.
Surface. It's okay, but I mean, gotta let the trainee learn to fly by himself. So I'm sort of monitoring to make sure he doesn't blow shit up. But yeah, so what's going on?
Well, what's going on with me? Well,
everybody's streaming tonight. You're streaming at 10 too. What is happening?
Yeah, I just, I was just like, you know what? I kept promising this 3,000 sub stream. I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything tonight. I'll just do it and see if anybody shows up. Surprisingly, people are here. So
I was like, that's what I'm doing. Like, I have no time. I'm evening shift. So like 11:30, I'm doing the what's happening thing. We'll see if anybody's awake, but could be a half-hour stream. Me going, Wheel of Time sucks.
Oh, but yeah, I might have to do another cut of that video that I today, because apparently Salty sent me stuff. Salty sent me a video because I asked him for video because I wanted him to react to. I wanted him to say stuff about how this is a non-adaptation and just call me a bullshitting asshole or something. Yeah. I haven't listened to it yet, but I might have to add his stuff on too. I might have to add stuff like I didn't know he sent me stuff because he sent me an email and I messaged him and he was like, well, I was out hiking and it didn't, like, my text or my Twitter DM didn't go through. So
how's it doing?
Yeah.
Is it doing okay?
Oh my gosh, like it's at 600 views. I'm like, how do I get 600 views for a Wheel of Time Real Prime video? I'm not a Wheel of Time channel.
So no. So experiment successful because you put Wheel of Time season 1 you put Wheel of Time is good in your title, right? Season 2 is good. There you go.
Wheel of Time season 2 is great, and I got 41 likes and 10 dislikes,
dude.
According to Studio.
Proof of concept. That's all it is.
Yeah. So here's what's funny. Because I have the because I use Google Chrome, I have the extension that allows you to see dislikes. What's weird is when I click on that video on YouTube, it says there's 0 dislikes, but when I go into Studio and I go to content, it says there's 10 dislikes, and that there's always this discrepancy. Sometimes YouTube will say I have like my link to the past video, which is the one that's currently going nuts and that's what's giving me all these subscribers right now. It's saying there's 100 dislikes. Yeah, it says there's 100 dislikes, but then when I look at it from Studio, it says there's only 30 dislikes. So I'm not sure which one is correct and which one isn't. I'm confused. I've been trying to look up and see what it is.
I believe the 10 because you're probably getting some of the shows going, oh, it's great, and then you go, like, oh, he trolled us.
Yeah. So, like, was it funny? Was I funny? I'm curious.
No, it was terrible. I cringed.
I thought so.
No, it was
I
fun.
thought.
No, it
thought-
was good. It was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. Now
Okay.
you subscribe. Look at that.
Oh, thank you. Hope you find something that hope you find something that interests you. So what I do. So I don't know about you. I know, Steve, I know you don't do this. I know a lot of people don't do this. I actually respond to every comment. I actually respond to every comment.
I do when I can. I don't have
Yeah.
so much shit. I can barely make videos these days anymore.
Yeah.
I got so much crap.
Yeah. You got kids. That reminds me. I have to bug you. I have to conclude. I have to resume my my Mario 3D world.
Dude,
with.
I am telling you, when Mario RPG comes out, you are going to like boost up to 5K in like a minute. Just cover it. Like this patch of Mario stuff, dude. You just need look. You love Mario. You love that stuff. Go hard Mario content for the next like 2 months. You're gonna freaking fly up, man. You're gonna go by us all, and rightfully so. Like you have a lot of stuff. No, I'm serious. You have a lot of stuff that is just evergreen. People can check it out. All your retrospectives and stuff. Like, just in the Mario stuff is something you love, and there's a whole bunch of Mario stuff coming out, including RPG, which is going to be a banger, right? So, I mean,
yeah. The Mario RPG, just that one that's my highest video now. That's 52,000. I was like, where did this come from? Because a year and a half ago, I uploaded a year and a half ago. It got up to maybe 200 views.
Hype, man, it's so hyped.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird how this shit works.
Well, think about what's going on now, dude. It's not dude. Think about it. It's not weird. Mario RPG's gonna remaster, so everybody's looking at that stuff now.
It's also an incredibly well beloved. It's an incredibly well beloved game.
That too.
Yeah.
The success.
Gadfly, you're gonna so back me up on this. You guys got to back me up on this. Okay, I told Notorio what he needs to do is he needs to do a playthrough of the old version, and just do a stream of playing the old version, and then when the new one comes out, do a stream of the new version, and then do a video of the comparison of what they changed and what they didn't change.
Yeah, that would be pretty straightforward.
Funny, bro.
I mean, the game's not that long, so
you're not
the problem with the problem with that is I've already done this. I've already done it online, because that's how I made the retrospective, was playing Mario RPG online. I mean, I could do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
It's now fresh content. It's just do it again. There's no, even if people, so what? Like I do. I mean, see, look, you get Quark's Bar is now subscribed. Like, see, we're gonna be like, I'm gonna be like, hey, Notorio, can I get on your stream one of these days? Be like, man, I'm too important for you, man. I got too much stuff going on. I got my 100K subs from all my game videos. Who are you, Steve?
You know who's you know what Quark's Bar is referencing, right? You know what show that's from?
It's Deep Space
Quark
Nine.
is that Orville? Okay.
No, Star Trek.
I don't
Star
know.
Trek Deep Space Nine.
Not my realm, bro.
Quark's
Sorry.
Bar at the Star Trek experience. I had a black hole. No, I had a warp.
Oh man, I missed out on that. I remember reading up on it. I was a kid. I was a kid in the 90s. So I remember hearing about it, and the year I finally go to Las Vegas, 2011, it was the year after the Star Trek experience closed. I was like,
oh, it was almost a religious experience going into that place. It was so dope. There were like 3 Star Trek weddings going on. Like they were just taking their pictures. Like I was on my honeymoon. This was back in this is a while back, 2007. But oh my goodness, it was just it was so cool.
So was there any, like, you on any of the ships, or did they have any of the ships at the experience? Were you on like the Enterprise or the Defiant or the Voyager?
They had a next generation style shuttlecraft away mission, like a space battle with the Klingons were attacking. I think there was a Borg cube that showed up as well, and this was right sort of like right when the Next Generation cast members who sort of peaking and then sort of falling off with Nemesis. I can't remember exactly if they were still making those movies at that point in time, but they had a whole, produced movie 4D ride that you could go on. And of course, then before that, you had sort of like the Star Trek museum aspect to it, where you got to see all these props from like the original series, The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager, which was awesome. They had Paramount employees or some kind of Las Vegas actors, like some 6.5 foot tall dude walking around as a Klingon talking shit to people in red shirts.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
It really was.
I didn't go to my first convention until a few years ago. So, and what's funny was this was when I went to the 2021, there was a Nerdrotic meetup and all that. A whole bunch of people were there. I stayed at the hotel that actually had the Star Trek convention. And let's just say there was very little, this was 2021, there was very little new Trek interest. Like there were some people were talking to the actors, but a lot of the actors weren't getting people talking to them. Like there was no lines for any of these people whatsoever. I kind of felt bad. I kind of wanted to talk to them, but I was like, nah. I'm like, nah, I don't want to waste any. I mean, it's not the actor's fault. It's just I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad for those actors because the shit that they get. I mean, they need the money. I get why they take the jobs and all that, but I mean, like, that's just horrible management. Like, I mean, the reason why. I mean, maybe the original classic Trek era was a little more abusive in the way the producers treated the actors and all that. I don't know, but they put out a product. They put out a product that's beloved. So I don't know. It makes me curious. It makes me want to research what the price was for that quality, so to speak. Because based on what I'm hearing about new Trek and all that, they're actually pretty lenient. They actually, like, everyone says how nice everybody is. And it seems like there's no oversight. So when it comes to writing and everything, it's garbage. They just do what they want. And it's just, there's fans that like it because they want to like everything. And there's people, and there's us who's like, this is not what made it good in the first place. So I don't know. Steve, what do you think? And this is across the board. Wheel of Time, Lord of the Rings.
I have
Star
no fucking
Wars.
clue. Oh, wait, I dropped the F-bomb. My bad. I have no clue. I'm talking to Dempsey about freaking Suikoden. So when that comes out, I'm playing the crap out of that. I guess when Wheel of Time is done, I'll go back to playing video games and me and Dempsey and Nos hanging out and them talking trash. We'll go back to the good old days of the Donut Squad and just play video games in the morning. That's going to be my channel. Yeah. But hey, it's okay. Season 3 is officially back underway, so I'll have stuff next year in 2 years to cover.
Wheel of Time? Or Wheel of Prime, excuse me. So are they confirmed? Is it going to be a thing? Do you think it'll ever get canceled?
No.
Season 3? No?
No, it's not. It's officially not getting canceled. They started filming again.
Oh, so okay. The strike's still on, right?
Nope, strike's over.
It's over?
Strike's over.
The Writers Guild got apparently a sweet deal, right?
Yep. Strike's over, and the funny thing is the article says, and I'll probably talk about it later tonight when I'm streaming to myself, but Wheel of Time says back from scheduled vacation of 3 to 4 weeks. It's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, what a well-timed vacation. It starts when the writer's strike starts and it ends the day the writer's strike ends. Great, well-timed vacation, guys. Fuck off. Like these people really think we're all so stupid to believe some of this stuff. I mean, come on. It's unbelievable.
I'm going to share this.
The thing that you can get over. Oh, I gotta go in a minute though, buddy.
But yeah, man, thanks for dropping by. I know you said you.
No, I'll hop out. I just wanted to give you a heads up if I disappear. That's why.
Okay, that's fine. So we got the window. Oh, this is not fun at all. This is it's terrible. By the way,
this Mario RPG. Are you gonna start right now? Let's do it. We gotta finish
right now.
Fast. We might actually get some viewers.
I don't have the setup right now.
Not right now. Well, we never finished. If your Link to the Past stuff is getting viewers, we need to finish that shit.
That's true. Well, whenever you want to do it, you just say we'll have to figure it out.
When I get time, man, we'll figure that out soon. So.
Okay. So, by the way, what's up, Yanan? Thanks for being here. I don't know if you check out the Wheel of Time season 2 thing. Hopefully, you'll get a kick out of it. Yeah, a lot of Seinfeld. I put a lot of Seinfeld in that video. So, but that's not good. That's not good. I was hoping.
No, it's not good. It's not good. Not good at all.
That means more junk.
But I gotta jump out, man.
All right.
I gotta jump out, bro.
Steve.
If you're around 11:30, then pop over. Yeah, if you're around 11:30, I'm gonna go talk about what's happening. So, I'll be live
okay.
For late night stuff at work. So.
That's 10:30. That's 10:30 Central.
Boys and girls.
All right. See you, Steve.
I like I said, I may be streaming to myself. So, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.
All right.
Congrats
take care,
again, dude.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. If anybody wants to come on, if you're a member, you want to come on. The link there's 2 links. There's one in the Discord and there's one in the community. So if you remember, you'll see it. Nathan's here. What's up, Nathan? Nerd. Yeah, I love. I'm gonna have to clip those. I'm gonna have to clip all those fuck yous and include them in my thing. So. Did you guys? By the way, I was going to ask you, what did you guys think of the flicker thing that I did at the end?
Oh, with Pips reading the passage.
Yes, I repurposed because Pips originally made that for an intro for one of my Wheel of Time intros, and I was like, you know what? I actually want to try and do a flicker. So every flicker would be a cut, would be an image or something. So I figured, I wanted to do that. And I was like, how would I end the flicker? Well, this is Wheel of Prime. So what does Wheel of Prime do to people, do to good people? It kills them by making their heads, it makes their heads explode. So I used, the famous scene from Scanners, the 80s movie, the David Cronenberg film. And that's how I decided to end it. And I decided, I'm going to do a freeze shot of the head, the remains of the head all over the place, and then I'm going to play some Tiny Toons NES music. It's going to be whimsical. So I don't know if you guys knew, but I was playing Banjo-Kazooie music the entire time. That's why it sounded so stupid and ridiculous. Boom, 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 do.
It highlighted the ridiculousness of the show, and was a good juxtaposition of the sarcasm of your rendition of what the show was, and so having all of that go and then highlighted with something that was actually like actual content from the book, which compared what we could have gotten, and then the imagery you used alongside of that. Was a good complimentary to the I think the internalized frustration that every Wheel of Time fan has with the show,
and of course all the interactions with with all the things that people have been saying online. So I'm just like, why do you, I'm like why do you care about this detail? Why do you care about this or like. Because I was reading one thing where people were promoting Rosamund Pike. I was like, I'm gonna punch low for this one. So I was like, Rosamund Pike's the best, and I was like, who are these people? And I show, I found a documentary of Kramer, I think they were in their home doing their own, like they do their own recordings and all that. And they do their own editing, which I think is pretty cool. But I was like, who are these people? And then and I just added the whole band thing. I was like, how do I do this band thing? So I found this band thing on YouTube, downloaded it, made sure like the video itself was transparent so it could look like it was just, going straight for the person. And then I just, and I thought it was funny. So every time somebody said fuck you to me or somebody said something off-putting, I just banned them from the video.
Yeah.
because I mean, I mean, what
From
happened?
your reality, from
Yeah.
your sphere of reality. Right?
Yeah, yeah. So when Alex says like the whole world is dumber for this video, that's, I mean, that's kind of what I was going for. So, um, but yeah, it was but like, yeah, the Pips with the beard was funny. He's just, and like the thing was, he couldn't keep a straight face, so I had to use the one where he wasn't smiling. And then at the end, I wanted to use the rest of the stuff that everybody did. So I made up this little mythology, and I had to follow the rules. See, even I, making this video, followed some rules. So apparently, so you know how, because I'm far enough in the Shadow Rising to know about the dark one and the bubbles when the seals are weakened and all that, and the bubble, the dark one's bubbles hit the pattern and shit happens. Well, I associated Alex as one of the main book cloaks, and his reality, him shattering my reality was the bubble that released everyone from the band. I probably should have been a little more clear on that, but I just said the book cloaks have a bubble, and it undid all my bands, so that's why everybody came back at the end. So, but by the way, Star Wars Theology, $2. Congrats, thank you. It's been a while. I know you've been killing it too, sir. Thank you so much. So, where's my mouse?
It's very interesting to see when somebody can writing a satirical criticism of the show puts more effort into the consistency of that content than the show the writers do themselves.
Yeah, comedy is tough to write. Like, I was just being like, to make it easier for myself, I was just ranting and just being obnoxious, which comes naturally for me. I'm natural. I can be obnoxious, especially when I don't mean to be, but hey, that's just, I was just like, and then based on everything I know, based on everything I've read so far about the Great Hunt is my favorite of the 3 books so far. It was just, and just watching the show with you guys, and this is my way of being. I'm not a massive Wheel of Time fan, but like, I guess I have a stake in the game too. And plus, I'm just doing this to be supportive of the rest of you guys who are Wheel of Time fans, who have read all the books several times. And and maybe I just want to be part of the cool kids club too. I don't know.
Your Star Trek stuff is experienced the same situation, right? And it's
a lot more gaslighting. And Picard season 3 was, oh god.
But it's the thing that really kills me is the reason why a lot of the stuff that's really successful and really popular, and the stuff that lasts, right? Like the Iliad and the Odyssey have lasted close to 3,000 years now, considering that they were composed at around 800 BC as an oral poem, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Aeneid has lasted, 2,000 years. Beowulf, 1,500 years.
Canterbury Tales, Shakespeare,
Don Quixote, Jane Austen, right, and obviously Tolkien, right? They've lasted centuries, and if not millennia, they will last millennia more, right? Like if they have lasted this long, they are going to last.
Yeah.
But the reason why they last so long is because they are very real. Right? They as fanciful as they may seem, as fanciful as the settings and the characters and the plot is, they all ring true deeply to humanity. And it's the same with the original Star Trek. The original Star Trek felt very real. The world felt very real. But
there were so many things. Yeah, there were so many things going on in the 60s, and Mr. Roddenberry really wanted to touch up on that. And of course, he did the opposite of what Tolkien liked. Tolkien hated allegory. Star Trek was full of allegory, but the allegory was told in a way that it didn't take you out of the story, and it made you interested in the discussion, and made you interested in and what the stuff that it's based on.
But the modern stuff is just, the characters are unbelievable, right? Like the sheer amount of disrespect that the officers in New Trek take from their underlings is like it's unbelievable. Nobody can believe that. And the behaviors that go on in this ship and stuff are unbelievable as well. And it's the same with the Witcher show, with the Willow show.
I heard the Willow show's like the worst show ever.
I think Ozzy has Velma is the lowest ranked show of all time, which I mean makes complete sense when they take a show that's about teenagers and make it hyper sexualized. People are gonna be turned off by that.
I liked how like it was made to own the fans or own certain people that would not like it.
Well, it was another self-insert, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing that. So one of the issues I have with this sort of sphere of influence that we find ourselves in, with like Nerdrotic and Az and all that stuff on the peripheries of what we do with Wheel of Time stuff, they talk about escapism, but they forget that there's the two types of escapism. And the first one is the escapism of the coward, and that's the one that everybody forgets. And that's like the ridiculous power fantasy, self-insertion, Mary Sue fan fiction type escapism that people produce. Whereas the second one is the escapism of the unjustly imprisoned, which is the escapism where you see the reality of you see the real world reflected in the story that you're escaping into, but it provides things like hope and encouragement and allows you to say, things can be absolute garbage, but there's always that possibility, that way to strive for more, right? That's so a lot of times people say, oh, escapism, this isn't escapism. But actually it is. Like the Batwoman show is escapism, but it's a very select personal escapism for those writers who are wish fulfilling, inflicting their view on the world. And so it doesn't ring true to everybody else, because it's what that writer wants the world to be, not that writer reflecting what the world is like, and how to make the world better. Yeah,
that sounds about right. I mean, like you said about things ringing true and all that. I mean, one thing that is widely discussed online, and I mean, I've said this, a lot of people have said this, is having world experience, dealing with multiple types of scenarios in their life. Good, positive, negative, and everything. We learn from all those. And
there's a reason why it is incredibly rare for an author to be successful before a book that they've written in their 30s. And that's because when you have lived 30 years, you have developed some of that life experience, right? There are exceptions, but usually there's a reason for it. Like Paolini and his Aragon series. Well, it turns out he has two parents who are in the publishing industry, so that helps. And then, of course, there's all the diversity requirements now in publishing, where you have all the agents now looking for diverse voices, and so they don't care the quality of the product. They care the characteristic of the author.
I heard there was a big thing going on with the Hugos a few years back. I mean, because this was when I was still reading George R. R. Martin's Not a Blog, and like apparently they were making changes to that too. And then there was people that opposed it, and they called them the sad puppies. I don't know if you're familiar with that at all.
Sad puppies, and didn't some joke author, Chuck Tingle, was it Chuck Tingle? It's just like some grotesque, like perverse author pen name.
Oh, yeah,
Chuck
Tingle is the romances with the dinosaurs, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a modern decay of a great institution and award that wonderful books have received.
The awards for the books are almost exactly the same as the Golden Globes and the Oscars and stuff, where there is an entity that oversees it, and they have requirements for submissions, and so it ends up being less about actually which book is the better, more impactful, best well-written book than it is about which of the authors played the politics game amongst the publishing world better. Right? There is always the exception that things that are truly exceptional still get recognized, but you have stuff like the Northman is not qualified for the Oscars because it doesn't fulfill qualifications in terms of casting diversity or staff diversity or anything like that. And it's like, well,
really,
yeah, they have staffing requirements as well.
So like people like crew, so like camera crew and production crew and all that. Interesting. Because you figure, I mean, for a movie like that, I mean, of course the actors have to be, if you're making a movie about, Northern Europe during 1100 AD. Sorry, yeah, I said AD. They're all going to be Caucasian. You're up in the cold, Northern Europe.
It's also the place where they're filming, right? Like,
yeah.
If I go to a small rural town in Iowa or whatever and hire a bunch of locals to be extras, odds are most of them are going to be white.
Yeah. I mean, majority, just like I mean, it's the same throughout the U.S. I mean, majority of the country is Caucasian. I mean, it's decreasing, but it's still the majority. So especially in
80% or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but Silverlock showed up and sent $9.99 super chat. Congratulations. Well, thank you, Silverlock. Thank you for being here. Thank you for that. Members, if you are here, if you're available, there's 2 links. There's a link in the Discord under members, which is only seen by the members. I posted a notification, and there's one in community. So on YouTube. So definitely hit those if you're interested in join us. So so we're just here chatting about whatever. So but yeah, PD York's here. What's up, PD? Yeah, we're definitely you and I. We're going to be debating Star Wars and Star Trek pretty soon. We'll have to maybe I'll have to find a good day. We'll talk about this over DM. So
that's always a very, very fun discussion we had.
Yeah, and so but it's going to be like we're going to be adults about it, and we're going to I'm going to listen to him, and yeah. But usually when it comes to my streams, I usually always play the heel and everything, or the devil's advocate, because that's just how I roll. So I never want to make a guest look bad, or I never want to make anyone look bad. That's just not what I do. So.
There was a somewhat lesser known person in history who played the role of the irritant. He ended up getting charged for blasphemy and perverting the youth, but and committing forced to commit suicide by drinking hemlock. But
you're talking about Socrates or Socrates.
Yeah, Socrates.
Oh my goodness,
those were great series of films, weren't they?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yeah, I didn't. The second one was different.
Yeah,
The second one is worth it just for the Steve Vai guitar solo that he composed on "God Gave Rock and Roll," as performed by Kiss. Ultimately, the show, but there's about 90 seconds of Steve Vai shredding the hell out of a guitar, running up into that song, and that. It is honestly just glorious. It's like complete and total guitar domination. If you're into that music, I would definitely recommend checking that solo out. You can just check there's a couple of videos of it on YouTube. And some
Steve Vai, huh? I forget, what was Steve Vai known for? What was he with? Like, I've seen him before. Was he his own band, kind of like like Elton John was his own band, David Bowie was his own band. Well, he's part of Zappa's band for a little bit. Frank Zappa. Huh.
I'm not certain. I think he may have been a studio musician at one point.
Yeah.
Like Knopfler, like Mark Knopfler.
Uh-huh.
Probably one of the greatest guitarists of all time. But he was a studio musician that bands would call in to play the guitar before he did the Dire Straits, right? So.
Mm-hmm. He played with everybody. He played with Whitesnake, David Lee Roth, Alcatraz. Of course, I'm reading this all on Wikipedia, so you know how true that is. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Steve Vai. I'll have to listen to some. I've been listening to more rock lately. I mainly listen to video game soundtracks and stuff. Oh, yes. But I've been listening to more. Been listening to what have I been listening to? I've been listening to. I love growing up, especially in high school, and I got made fun of this because when I was in high school in the early 2000s, everybody was listening to hip hop because I went to Chicago public school, and I was probably it's gonna sound terrible, but I think I was the whitest kid at that school. Like I didn't listen to hip hop or anything. I was listening to 80s rock. I was listening to movie soundtracks. I didn't have a means to listen to video game soundtracks yet because all I had was CD player, Walkman, and CD, and that was it. I don't think iPods were even around then. So
I got a CD burner.
Nice.
CD burner. That was I remember everybody talking about that.
CRW.
Mm-hmm. I finally when I had my first computer in college, I started burning CDs and all that, and I started downloading stuff off of YouTube and
OC
LimeWire. Excuse me.
Yeah, I just went on OC Remix and just
OC Remix. Yep.
Grabbed everything and then filtered through the stuff that was good versus the stuff that was questionable.
Oh, look who we got here. We got another member, longtime member of the Nerdporial Continuum, DJ Ronnie G. What's going on, sir? Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to drop in briefly to congratulate you on your 5,000. Did you say 5,000?
Not that. I'm not that far yet. Not that far yet. I'm at 3. I'm at 3K.
Okay, well, 3,000 is cool too. And unfortunately, I got to be out pretty quick because I have a whole bridge behind me, and I got to manage this. I got to manage this situation behind me. But
you need those. You need those bubbles that pop and act as a seal.
That's what I loved about the original Gundam series, like the effort towards realism, right? Like there's a whole bridge, so they pop some of that bubblegum sealant material, and the O'Neill cylinders that were like basically originally envisioned by Gerard O'Neill from NASA. I mean, I just love that whole like inhabiting space and all of that crap, even though they're constantly engaged in war. And but anyway, good news. I started rereading. I started Eye of the World from the beginning.
Hey.
Because first time I watched it, I was confused and there weren't any spaceships, and I just didn't feel at home. But this time, after rereading Lord of the Rings, rereading the Fellowship and that trilogy, I feel like now I can kind of imagine people riding horses in my head better. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's an easier read than Tolkien, I'll say that. Reading
Are there any
Wheel of Time.
spoilers? A really easier read? Okay, maybe it will be. But do you guys have any spoilers, or should I sometimes a spoiler really reels me in. You know what I mean? Like you hear a spoiler and you watch a movie because of it.
I'll say this about the Eye of the World. Eye of the World is the most fantasy aspect. So it's kind of like it's almost like you're playing a video game. You go off into the world and you discover all these insane creatures in these insane parts of the world. And so, I mean, how far did you say you got in Eye of the World?
I got like to a quarter of it, but I just started over because I was reading it so sporadically. So I'm like in chapter 2.
Oh, you're only at chapter 2?
Yeah, ish.
The first 3 books are generally considered a travel log, so it's destination. You know, there's an end point that the characters are traveling to, but what that does is that sets up the whole world and the whole setting for everything that comes after. So the first 3 books, although they're more simple stories, because each one is a complete story on its own, but they set up everything for the crazy, convoluted nature of the remaining 11 books.
That helps. That kind of like helps me to understand what I'm reading, what I'm experiencing. So maybe like if I'm confused, I know I'm reading a travel log now. At least context helps. You know, rereading Foundation after watching season 1, despite all of the major differences, Foundation was more comprehensible to me when I sort of like watched it a little bit. But once again, kind of like, you know, a false equivalency there. But yeah, no, I don't see how that goes. And secondly, you guys mentioned Greek mythology earlier, and I started rereading Ilium by Dan Simmons. Any of you guys ever read that? Well, basically, Dan Simmons decides to play with some Greek mythology prose in a book, but it takes place in some far future, and the Greek gods live in space or some craziness like that. But anyway, I just once again want to say congratulations on your 3,000 subscribers. It was nice meeting you, Gadfly, Fiction, and IPK. I would stick around, but unfortunately, it's a school night, and school starts really early. But I'm going to leave you with my new... I'm getting into the puppet game, you know, with
really?
Punkwaddle and crew. And I mean, not exactly, but apparently when I sent this to the guy, you know, Floral from Under a Rock, he runs the channel where they do Muppets. I'm looking for my Chroma key button. And he was like, can you do a commercial where you're talking to Punkwaddle? But I did this dumb video where I'm basically imitating Wilton the troll. And at the end, I say something like, I do the Wilton voice, which is not hard for me to do because Wilton has a funny voice, and I have a funny voice. But I'm like going like this. I'm like, I'm Wilton the troll. And then at the end of the video, I say I'm way smarter than Punkwaddle. And ever since I sent that video to Punkwaddle, he has not replied. So I'm very worried that he might have thought I was being serious.
So is that the puppet, or is that just a mask, or is there a sock puppet version?
Nah, this is just a mask. I do want to build a puppet of the Shrike from Hyperion. Like, I really do. I'm not even kidding. Like, see this metal here?
Not the Shrike from Picard season 3, right?
Oh God, no. No, God, no. Oh boy, no. Although, you know what? I would build it.
TikTok.
Do you remember Victory Gundam? Do you remember Shrike Team? And how like they had the highest mortality rate for any mobile suit team.
Was that the team that was the team of women that Tomino killed off every episode?
Yes, literally, yeah. Like that was insane. Like they were so inspirational, and it's like 2 episodes after you get introduced to them, they're killing them off like flies. And it's
Tomino would have been canceled if this would have happened now.
And their first appearance, it was like you had 6 what would they call gun blaster mobile suits, and it looked so cool. It was like, oh man, what a bit. Anyway, so this is like a Thorn, and if you ever read the Hyperion Contours by Dan Simmons, they have a creature who's like the Terminator on crack, and he's made out of like this chrome alloy endoskeletal structure that has no skin on it, and then you touch it, it's like razor sharp. So I wanted to make a puppet comprised of this fabric that has this metallic sheen and wrap it in barbed wire, but I realized that creating a head out of foam was a bit more challenging than I planned on. So then I decided to use the felt that I already had, because what happened was, okay, here's the backstory with this mask. Many weeks ago, Punkwaddle's computer was out. Punkwaddle, by the way, Gadfly and IPK, if you don't know Punkwaddle, he's basically a penguin who appears on YouTube as a puppet. I'll put a link into the chat.
He's got a mohawk, and he's literally a punk.
Yeah, literally. And he's a cool dude, too.
He's one of the earliest Norporial supporters.
That's a fact. Yep.
I would not have met Salty and Prophet and the White Cloaks if it wasn't for Punkwaddle.
And yeah, basically like cool dude. He is OG. He was here before I was, and basically what happened was many weeks ago his computer was out of commission, and the guy running the show has a character named Wilton the Troll who looks vaguely like this but with fangs coming out the bottom. And Wilton plays the character of a troll. He plays an a-hole, like that's the character, and comedic trolling at its finest, or in one of its forms. Anyway, because Punkwaddle wasn't available to film a short clip that is usually included in like an hour-long show, the guy who dresses up as Wilton made a felt mask. So it's a regular puppet, yellow face with the same eyes, but an actual three-dimensional puppet. The guy made a mask out of felt to look like a penguin, but he made it look awful. Like it just looked like over the top dumb. Like the eyes were all crooked, and the nose was a carrot instead of a beak or a bill. And he does like a doofy voice, and he's like imitating Punkwaddle, but of course doing it intentionally bad. And so I had the idea of doing an imitation of Wilton, and then Punkwaddle goes, I should do a video of Wilton, of me wearing a Wilton mask, wearing a Punkwaddle mask. Now that's a bit, complex, but I do plan to make a Punkwaddle mask to wear over this. So long story short, I filmed a dopey video. You might see this in the future, but I forgot what I was going to say. All I wanted to say was, once again, congratulations. Nice meeting you guys. And I better get out of here, because if I don't get out of here soon, this hull breach is going to get the best of me, and I'll be a dead man. No, you guys have a good night, though. Thanks.
There's one thing for you from Trip.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
So
I see it.
She says, slight spoiler for Wheel of Time. There are small sci-fi apocalyptic elements in the overall story I found really interesting. There's also a lot of foreshadowing. So there's a lot of prophecies being told, especially that really start in the second book. That keeps you speculating. So, yeah.
That helps. That like anything, like, see, something to latch on to. I appreciate that. Thank you, Trip. And I'll drop a link for Punkwaddle into the chat so you gentlemen may check out his content.
Yep, Dempsey already beat you to it.
Good stuff. Thank you, Dempsey, for saving me the effort. All right, ladies, gentlemen, if there's any ladies in the chat, you guys have a good night and live long and prosper.
Take care. Nice. I wanted to ask about Hyperion. I have the first book. I've been meaning to read it. It's been recommended by a lot of people. So
I haven't read it. Usually when it comes to things that I study being adapted into fictions, I'm very hesitant, just because I've got all the ins and outs, so I know all the minutiae of details. But I will also say, C.S. Lewis's retelling of the Cupid and Psyche myth by the name of Till We Have Faces, fantastic book.
Okay.
Amazing story.
I was listening to C.S. Lewis. I was listening to, and I'm very bad when it comes to listening comprehension and all that. But I was trying to listen to his Problem of Pain audiobook. So there's talking about like why is there pain in the world and blah blah blah. So I don't even remember the key points. Now it's been like a month or two since I last listened to it. I didn't even finish it. So, I don't even really, I don't even remember the key points. So that's terrible. So shit, fuck.
Was that one of his Catholic apologist works? I can't remember exactly.
I think so. He does talk about the universe. He starts talking about like the universe, and then he goes into like the nature of evil and people and pain, pleasure.
Yeah,
I don't even remember the key points, because like listening to him, he's just like all over the place on a lot of stuff, and I'm just like I'm trying to get my head around like what he's talking about. C.S. Lewis, that's the intellectual for it. So
he's something that you can't listen to.
Yeah,
you have to be holding it in your hands, and because C.S. Lewis's academic and theological and philosophical writings are some of the most beautiful, profound, insightful things out there from the 20th century up. But you do have to contemplate on them, which is good and intentional, right? Like it's written in that way so that you have to be thinking about them as you're reading them, because if you're not, then it's just going going by you at light speed sometimes. Very, very reminiscent of Aristotle in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Because there's actually a theory out there that the works we have of Aristotle are actually just lecture notes.
That's really quite interesting to even think about that.
So I don't know how you guys do public speaking, but when I speak publicly, I never write out my speech. I only have notations and general statements and stuff that I go on and I expound further on. So I will have like a page of notes for a half-hour long talk. But I personally don't think that the Aristotle stuff is lecture notes type thing, but it is very interesting that it's every sentence is so cram-packed with things to investigate. And it's very much the same with a lot of C.S. Lewis stuff.
Okay. I think I see what you're saying. So I haven't, yeah, I mean, the only C.S. Lewis I've read or I'm familiar with, I mean, I remember the one time I actually, what's funny is we just said C.S. Lewis is not easy to listen to. The one book that I was able to listen to from start to finish as a kid, because when I was in grade school, we would be read to sometimes. There would be times where we had to sit still and the teacher would read to us. Majority of the time, because I was one of those kids that just, once I stopped paying attention and lost the plot, I lost the plot forever. So I would just be sitting there, thinking my own things and everything. There was one book that was read to us that I listened to from start to finish. Maybe it was the way, because I went to a Lutheran school and it was the pastor that did the reading. So maybe it was the way he read it that made it very interesting. I'm not sure. But it was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was the one book that was read to us that I actually listened intently. And I really enjoyed listening to it. Like, I was invested right away.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that, because usually I am terrible when it comes to listening to stories and all that. So that's just one of.
I'm the same way, right? Like, it's that whole ADHD thing that isn't really actually ADHD. It's just a healthy, robust child, not healthy, robust, intelligent child. Not to toot my own horn, but being forced to sit in a.
It's okay, Gadfly. I would go to your classes, and I would.
Well, I may end up be doing a YouTube thing, so keep that.
You can enroll in it.
Yeah, I've been doing a whole lot of things, tutoring and my academic stuff on YouTube, along with my non-academic stuff.
I tried to dive back into Middle English after like 2 decades of rust. It didn't work out well. Yeah. It looked complicated.
But, yeah, so it was grade 1 during a summer Bible camp. The person who had guardianship over me and my elder brother was reading The Hobbit to us. And so they read The Hobbit to us. And then, so that was the grade 1 summer. So I entered grade 2. And I started reading The Lord of the Rings immediately after that. And then the Silmarillion. And I mean,
challenging books for that age.
Yeah, I was not.
Did you say you were 8 or 9 when you were 9 or 10 when you read those?
So I wasn't I wasn't fully grasping everything that was going on, but I fell in love so much with the Hobbit because of that person reading that to me and my elder brother at bedtime. That I just jumped in, and like I was not going to be dissuaded. I was going to read this big ass book when everybody else was reading, like Garfield comics.
Oh yeah, I didn't read Garfield comics. Actually, I remember I watched the Garfield cartoon.
I was the Garfield comic reader. It's okay. I was everybody else.
The Garfield comics are actually fantastic. And same with the Calvin and Hobbes ones. Like,
oh yeah, those are
I don't have them here, but I've got the box set of hardcover full collection of Calvin and Hobbes.
I got a question for you. If the creator of Calvin and Hobbes was interested, do you think Calvin and Hobbes would have been as big as Peanuts? You know, had doing like specials. Well, if he kept writing it, if he kept, you know, making adaptations like you know, Charles Schultz did. Because he wasn't interested in doing the Calvin Hobbes author was not interested in doing that.
I don't think so, particularly because the thing about Peanuts is it's a lot more simple. Like Calvin and Hobbes deals with some actually crazy things when you look at the stories, whereas Peanuts is a lot more straightforward and simple and cartoony in its coverage of ideas. And so I think Calvin and Hobbes would have had a fanatical following.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have been as generally popular as Peanuts was.
And I forget, Calvin and Hobbes is basically about a lonely boy riding his doll.
His stuffed tiger.
His stuffed tiger.
Friend, yeah.
And so he would use his imagination and he would play with his.
I think he was just one of those hyper imaginative, hyper intelligent kids that is so frustrating to deal with as an adult.
A total handful. Like he was both hands, and then like another set, mom and dad, both hands full. Child Calvin. Got to keep an eye on that kid, or else he's gonna be out the door.
So I'm curious. What kind of, like you said, it gets crazy. So what kind of themes did Calvin and Hobbes really? Because I haven't really. It's been a while since I've seen any of the comics.
Well, it does touch on stuff like loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, the loneliness of a child, the loneliness of a social outcast.
Yeah.
It also deals with the more nuanced concepts of the joys and struggles and sorrows of parenthood through Calvin. You know, it's the
struggles that a child would go into head first. The school struggle, the struggle with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
struggle with friendship.
It does it in a way that's not it's not simple. It's not like Arthur, that Aardvark, right? Supposed Aardvark with the cartoon.
Not the monkey, because I remember there was Arthur the Ape, those books.
George?
I remember Curious George.
Curious George. The man with the yellow hat.
Yeah, that's right. That's a timeless book. And it's Forrest Gump's. It's my favorite book. Forrest Gump's favorite book.
It's a solid book for a particular age or child.
Yeah. I used to read. I read those. I'll have to find a copy.
Trip says, "Don't forget Marmaduke," and trust me, I can't. Great Danes are my second favorite breed of dog.
Family Circus.
Yeah, Family Circus.
I remember those. I remember those comic strips in the paper.
I love the ones where the kid was just like traveling all over the neighborhood with a little dotted line. You can see all the crap that he did.
Mm-hmm. I used to get Family Circus and Family Circle mixed up. Family Circle's the magazine. I think it's the women's magazine, the cooking magazine, or something. I forget. And Family Circus is the comic.
Is it Foxtrot as well? It was
like a teenage drama version of Calvin and Hobbes almost.
Well, it was the family had three kids, right? It had the oldest daughter, the teenage son, and the preteen son.
Yeah, younger son, the older son, and the middle daughter.
Yeah, was it a middle daughter? Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
What's this called again?
Foxtrot.
Foxtrot. Is it the same person that did Calvin Hobbes?
No, different.
I don't believe so.
They were contemporaneous. They were in the papers at the same time though. Also.
Oh, okay.
I think Calvin and Hobbes is the superior product. Although Foxtrot's wasn't a terrible thing either.
No, I put Foxtrot on the tier of Dilbert. Which
because it has that Dilbert look. I'm looking at one of the images now, because you see the glasses and you don't see any pupils behind the glasses. You just see white behind there. So I'm looking at one comic strip right now. He's pouring root beer. Radical 9 ounces, Radical 81 ounces, Radical 36 ounces, Radical 144, cold delicious ounces. And I don't know if it's his sister or his classmate saying weirdo. He's like, I take my root beer pouring seriously.
Well, once again, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're somewhat childish and simple, but they're true.
Yeah,
and it's that thing that seems to be my theme in this live stream, where it's just the truism of a product is what makes it loved and respected for a longer period of time than just the creator's lifespan, or the for a show the time of the running of the show, right? And Trip brings up Looney Tunes, right? Like Looney Tunes is also one of those things that, as ridiculous as they are, there's a lot of truisms in them, and also like much respect to the classical music.
Oh yeah,
that they choose for those episodes, right? Like,
and it's like a Taverin, if you want to bring it back to Wheel of Time, how cultural perception can be twisted around by Looney Tunes. I always think about the insult of Bugs Bunny to Elmer Fudd, calling him a Nimrod. Like,
oh yeah,
how it switched the definition from the ancient hunter to a complete buffoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like it was Nimrod is one of the descendants of Adam, or one of the descendants, or actually the son of Ham from Genesis. Ham is one of the sons of Noah, one of the 3 sons of Noah. I remember reading this in the Bible, and I think a few of us laughed. A few of us laughed actually reading that genealogy chapter right there. So yeah, I want to read this. I need to read the super chat really quickly. Mark Clark for 199. Gotcha beat. I listened to opera in high school, and this is me talking about how I listened to old stuff. And he's listening to opera. I like classical music quite a bit. Opera, I like choir. I like hearing people sing. I like choir, but opera that's a hard one for me. That's a tough one.
If you want to get into it easy, I would check out Rossini. It'll go Italian.
Rossini, Italian.
It's more modern. Like as far as opera goes, it's still like getting close to 200 years old.
About Pagliacci, based on my watching a Seinfeld. Pagliacci the clown.
It's great.
Are you afraid of clowns? And Kramer's like, yes.
I'm gonna drop off for just a second. Have to check on my younger brother.
Okay. All right. Well, So Gadfly was ruling the stream, so now I wrestled control back. Yeah, absolutely. I've got another person, and got another person in the thing. Where's my mouse? Oh my God, this is the worst podcast of all time, ever possibly eternity, says Goji Bear. This is a member stream. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Possibly eternity, ever plus 8 squared and a half minus 2. Okay. I've never seen you. I don't think I've ever seen you before. So thanks for the insult. Beautiful insult. So Philip Glass is Mark Clark's favorite composer. Yeah, Philip Glass is known for his what do you call it? His
almost like an intense soundscape.
Yeah, it's very I forget what they call it. Epic. Minimalism. He was a minimalist. And really one thing I
rip you apart with it.
Yeah, one thing I think what was it? Zelda Ocarina of Time has very minimalist, like when you go into the dungeons, like there's such an atmospheric sound to it, to the music, that you feel like you're actually in like the first dungeon in that game, you're in a tree. You're in a big giant, tree.
Oh yeah.
You have to kill the monster inside the tree in order to heal the tree. Unfortunately, the Deku tree. Okay,
poor little tree. It was a big tree.
It was a big tree. It was a big tree, and it had a big mustache too. But when you're in that level, and when you're in there's another level where you're inside a big fish god, it sounds like you're actually inside the you sound like you're inside. I say this in my retrospective. You sound like it sounds like you're inside the you're actually inside these things. And that's what I love about it. And I like ambient minimalist type of score. Like it's like playing those games has really deepened my appreciation for that. So
you look at what they were able to accomplish with very like small tools sets to do it. Some even just MIDI sound back in the 8-bit era. Like look at what they have on the Castlevania cartridges. Like what they were able to do there. Like just
yeah.
Or Mega Man. You know, Mega Man 2, Dr. Wily's Stage 1.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, me and Prophet's son we play Mega Man. We play. I've tried to take him on in Mega Man, and his son is only 17, and he's destroyed me. Like he's like we would race and see who beat the game first, and he always beat me by like several hours. So
that's not easy to race through Mega Man.
Oh no, I know, and I thought I knew the game well, and I didn't know as well as his son. Like Steve's son knows the game better than I do, and I've played the game. I don't think I've played the game nearly as much as he did, though, but yeah.
Always got to move forward. Always moving forward, Mega Man. No looking back.
No, yeah, that's true.
There's no back. This forward, fast as you can. Very, very 1980s Japanese mindset.
Yes, that's true. One of these days, I got to do a Mega Man. I got to do a Mega Man retrospective. The next video game retrospective I plan to do, or I promise to do, because I do previews at the end of all my videos to kind of, or I tease stuff at the end of all my videos. So next Mario stream is actually me talking about all the educational Mario games that came out in the 90s. So your Mario's Missing, your Mario's Time Machine, Mario Teaches Typing. Those are the three that I'm going to be talking about. The reason why I can type is because of Mario Teaches Typing, believe it or not. So
it wasn't Mavis Beacon?
Yeah, Mavis was me. Mavis Beacon. CD-ROM.
So yeah, so that's gonna be that's my upcoming project, and then the video, then the game project after that. And maybe it's because I'm listening to the soundtrack, and listening to the soundtrack makes me really want to do it even more. And I love the game, Chrono Trigger. I'm gonna do a Chrono Trigger retrospective, and I'm gonna be telling the whole story. So I don't know how long that's gonna be. I don't know how long that's gonna be.
Which story though?
Yeah.
There's only one story.
Chrono Trigger is one of the first games to have multiple endings.
True. So I'm gonna
New Game Plus.
I'm gonna do all of them.
Yeah, New Game Plus.
Oh, it's gonna be a big project. That's gonna be dope.
And you got to follow it up with Chrono Cross at some point.
I've only played Chrono Trigger. I played many times, and I got into it in college. So the thing was, I didn't play the game originally when it came out. I was a kid when it came out. But my friend, so I finally got my own computer mid 2000s, and my friend gave me his Z SNES emulator. So, and the summer before I started my third year of college, we were on a road trip, and my friends were talking about this game called Chrono Trigger. I've never heard of this game, so I'm hearing them talking about it. And I was like, you know what? I see the game on the emulator. I'm gonna give it a shot. I played it. Time travel happened. More shit happens. I just couldn't stop, and I played it and beat it. And it might be my favorite video game soundtrack.
It was also a fantastic experience. Like I had played tons of JRPGs up until that point, and seeing the enemies on the screen and fighting like on the map, effectively, that was something that was truly unique. It's something I wish that Chrono Cross had done.
So did Chrono Cross revert? Well, I thought
they saw the enemies on the map, but you ran. It was just one entity, and you ran into them, and then it opened up a random battle where it's like. So it wasn't like you see one enemy on the map, you run into it, and then the other enemies on the map. Come and attack you as well.
Was that PlayStation 1?
That was PS1.
Yeah.
It took me forever to track down a copy of Radical Dreamers.
Oh, that's the text-based one. And I
Yeah.
think Chrono Trigger was based off of that game.
I think Radical Dreamers came after Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
And Chrono Cross was based off of Radical Dreamers. But that was,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of the thing, but it was a satellite that you paid for access to in Japan, and companies would upload games to the satellite, and you could download the games to a blank cartridge on the Super Famicom in Japan.
Well, there was
That's why it was so
there was
rare
this.
to find.
I mean, you can, now that you bring up Super Famicom, they did have something called the Saddle View, and that's how they would. There was at one point where they came out with a third and fourth quest of Legend of Zelda. So closest thing to a remake of the original Legend of Zelda in 16-bit was the third and fourth quest, and they released it. It was like an event type of deal for the Saddle View. And I didn't know this existed until a few years ago. I was able to find a way to play it emulated.
How was
and
it?
everything. It was. I mean, it wasn't as. I mean, it was beautiful, 16-bit. It was more event based, so I think there were points where you had to turn the game off back on to access certain points, but it was basically another variation of you had the first and second quest in the original Legend of Zelda, basically the same thing. The third and fourth game, the map was fundamentally shrunk down. It was nowhere near as big as it was in the original game. It was compressed quite a bit.
The original DLC.
Yeah, the original DLC. That's right.
You probably want to keep it small to keep the download small.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So yeah. So but yeah, I got my notebook out. I got to write some recommendations. So I already did I wrote a whole bunch of TV shows because Steve is obviously Steve and Alex and Pips. They're all big TV guys. So I was thinking maybe get some book recommendations. I know since Gadfly's here and
I'm illiterate.
Illiterate.
I haven't. No.
Well, if you're looking at fiction, then with the C.S. Lewis, Till We Have Faces. So that's a retelling of the Cupid and Psyche myth of Greek mythology.
Okay. Cupid and Psyche,
which is a very interesting myth in its own right, but the C.S. Lewis just blows it out of the water. It's beautiful, and it's the last thing he wrote, and the last thing that was published.
I know that like he passed away the same day as President Kennedy passed away. So yeah, he got Groucho Marxed on to Kennedy's Elvis, so to speak. Can I say?
You read I Am Legend?
I have not read I Am Legend. I mean, I've seen the movie. I've seen the Omega Man.
Well,
and I forget who wrote I Am Legend. I forget. It was who wrote I Am Legend. I should know this.
You won't believe it. I don't know a whole lot of
Richard Matheson,
modern fiction writers.
Yeah, Richard Matheson. He wrote which Star Trek episode did he write? Richard Matheson wrote an episode. I think it was the Enemy Within. 1960s Star Trek. Which one did he write? Yeah, I was right. He wrote The Enemy Within. So yeah, Richard Matheson wrote I Am Legend. So write that down. I want to read. Yeah, I mean, it's basically one guy's the last person on Earth and everything. I saw the Will Smith one too. So
there's a post-apocalyptic series called the Amtrak Wars as well. That's very interesting. And so the I forget who wrote it, but the basic premise is a nuclear war happened, and it's some people survived in underground bunkers, and their descendants now at this point in time have to go out into the external world in order to find resources. But people have survived in the in the world above.
Mm-hmm. Are they mutated?
Some are mutated, some are not.
Okay.
In a good way or a bad way?
There's different groups of people. Well, we would say bad way, but the author actually makes it very clear that because of the mutations, the cultures of the mutated people have changed.
Right.
But the basic premise is an idea of the prince and the pauper, where you have one individual from the underground world looks exactly like one of the individuals from the above ground world, and there's a life swap situation that goes on during some of it.
Yeah.
And there's other groups as well. Like there's there's a highly racialized Japanese survival culture that has a very classist tier system. So if you're pure Japanese, you're at the top of the class or racial class hierarchy. Then if you're part Japanese, you're underneath that. And then if you're Korean, you're under that. And if you're Chinese, you're under that. And so it's all these different groups interacting, and it's very interesting. However, I will warn you that the author died before completing the series, so it just ends.
So there's no Brandon Sanderson to finish.
No. And this is one of my things where I don't think any author should finish another author's work unless they were highly involved in the process of that person's work. Like Christopher Tolkien was highly involved with Tolkien's work.
He was part of the creative. He was part of the creative process behind, especially behind Lord of the Rings. I think he also designed the map too. I think Christopher designed the map for the Middle Earth.
Yeah, I probably not specifically everything, but general design. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think an author should finish another author's work.
How do you feel about Brandon Sanderson?
As a person, I don't begrudge him anything. As an author, I can see the appeal to his stuff. It doesn't appeal to me. It's not highbrow enough for me if I want to be pedantic and elitist about it.
Go for it.
But I understand the appeal to it. And so I understand his success, and I don't begrudge his success. But I also think his Wheel of Time books are garbage, in part because he had a heck of a lot to do. But also in part because of some of the decisions he made. So,
because I know, like, the final book obviously covers the last battle, which is something that's been teased ever since the. I don't think the last battle was teased in the High of the World. I think it wasn't first teased until the Great Hunt, if I remember correctly. I think that's the first time they refer to it, the inevitable or the final event.
Yeah. Well, the idea of the dragon being reborn is he's going to save and destroy the world at the beginning, right? So it's kind of there. And when you look at some of the other mythological backdroppings and inspirations RJ uses, you can see that there's definitely a Ragnarok, Armageddon concept in the budding there.
Makes sense. So interesting.
But I would also recommend reading the Jane Austen books.
Sense and Sensibility with sea monsters, Pride and Prejudice with zombies, that type of deal.
Well, it removed the zombies, but
I know.
But they are actually really sharp, really insightful, and clever. Like she was clever in her writing. And then, of course, if you want something more Horatio Hornblower series?
Yeah, I mean, as a Star Trek fan, I feel like I've committed a sin by not reading those yet.
You can even watch the Ian Griffin Hornblower series where he plays the titular character, and they are really good. They are really good. So they are ones that you, although he only does like the first half of the Hornblower saga.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a book where Hornblower is like in his 60s on an adventure, but they didn't adapt that one because they couldn't wait for Ewan Griffin to age 30 years.
I like Sensei Matt's thing. Sensei and Sensibilities sounds like a great title. Congrats, bro. Well, thank you. Yeah, Sensei and Sensibilities. Quiet. There you go. That's Sensei.
The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Have you read those, Miss?
No. Salty recommends Sir Arthur Conan Doyle quite a bit whenever I talk to him.
Great Star Trek tie-ins too, of course. They're very entertaining. They're meant to be able to be picked up and enjoyed from start to finish. They're big crowd pleasers. They're very popular. They're just absolute pleasure reading.
I read we had to, for school we had to read one of them. It was, I think, the one was called The Speckled Band. That was the one we read. Sherlock Holmes and the Speckled Band or whatever. I think that's what it was called. So
yeah, Dempsey mentions the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant, but those are some heavy books. They're great, but they are very heavy. Now
Thomas Covenant's fantasy, right?
Yeah, it's Narnia-esque in that there's an other world.
An alternate world, but there's also our world at the same time that's connected to this alternate world.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they are heavy. Like there's some stuff in there that you read and you're just like, oh boy. Like George R. R. Martin is salivating at the thought of these events. Type of thing.
I gotta ask you. You've read Song of Ice and Fire, right? How do you feel about those books?
I enjoy them once. Once again, I see the appeal. I do like the fact that there are genuinely heroic characters who try to be heroic.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody talks about his world as it being this morally gray, no good, no evil. But that's not specifically true. There are people who genuinely try to be good. They just tend to get punished for doing so, which is pretty accurate to the real world. Yeah. But the messaging within there is, yes, these people are probably losing, but doing the good thing weighs so much less heavy on your conscience and so much less heavy on your soul.
Mm-hmm.
That may not be what his intent is, but that's sort of what I picked up. So I enjoy them. They're not Jordan tier, but like Tolkien is here, obviously, like above the scale. Mm-hmm. Jordan is here because nobody's really up here. So Jordan's here. Martin is about here.
Fair.
C.S. Lewis is also in that Jordan tier.
I mean, I don't know. It's something, I don't know. When I read the Song of Ice and Fire, I don't know if it's just entertaining or it's just something about it is just, I enjoy those reads a lot more than Wheel of Time.
There's a lot of Schadenfreude in Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. Like when you see these rotten people get their desserts.
Yeah.
Because they all inevitably get their desserts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's right.
The show people fell in love with Khal Drogo, but he was a horrible person.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Dothraki,
And so when you see him get that end, his end is absolutely the worst possible end that his people could conceive, like being a
vegetable.
Yeah.
All because of a simple wound too. It wasn't like, you know. And then the witch did her job, Mary Mazdur, and then, you know, and then she got and she like did something to the baby, to Daenerys's baby, and then what did Daenerys do? Burned her along with her husband, and then three dragons came.
One of the reasons why people love the Game of Thrones series is everything is up for question. So, did Mirri Maz Duur poison Khal Drogo, or was it that he didn't follow her instructions that caused the problem?
Yeah,
because he didn't follow her instructions, right? And then was the baby affected by Mirri Maz Duur's magic, or was it just a defective Targaryen baby? Because you hear about Targaryen babies having all these problems and stuff.
Yeah, so there's always theories about, you know, like what people thought of it and what people thought happened and everything. There's essays written about it. I've read some of those essays.
There's a lot of YouTube channels dedicated to it.
Oh yeah, you have Preston Jacobs. You have Talking Thrones is actually commented on the White Cloaks because really? Talking Thrones fucking hates Wheel of Time, the series, not the movie, not the books, the series. And he commented on Alex's video. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, there's other channels. There's the Dragon Demands. There's trying to think who else. But there's a lot of other people.
Once again, to go back to my theme of this stream, it feels like a real setting. It feels like a real world, real cultural groups, real dynamics, even with the magical stuff thrown in, right? Like, so Game of Thrones, like, yeah, I understand the feel. I don't know. The thing is about Song of Ice and Fire. I just find the world way more. It's weird, but I find the world way more interesting than I find the world of Wheel of Time. Maybe it's because more things happen, more different types of things happen in the Song of Ice and Fire than you're just at the point of the world opening up dramatically in Wheel of Time.
Because honestly, I mean, as long as I've been in, Falme and Tyr and these other cities, I mean, I don't find them nearly as interesting as the places that were in Song of Ice and Fire. Like, you had King's Landing, you had the Vale, you had.
You spend time in those settings through the eyes of the still naive, inexperienced country folk.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you finish Shadow Rising, you are now at a point where they have now lost a lot of that naivety and innocence.
Mm-hmm.
And they are now more experienced in the world and are now more able to see and understand all the stuff that's going on, and they are more forced and also willing to engage in the societies around them.
Yeah.
So it opens up a huge amount.
This is another thing that now. This is probably just, maybe it's because of this is Song of Ice and Fire syndrome. One thing that I've kind of grown used to is, well, not really understanding. Obviously, Song of Ice and Fire doesn't really, like, the magic system is kind of like, I don't think Martin himself understands it really. Just the whole blood magic concept and everything. And I actually kind of like that, like the magic is kind of unknowable or it's been lost over time or whatever. But the other thing is just, I don't feel nearly. I mean, I don't like when a fight happens in Wheel of Time. I'm not concerned about the characters because I know they're going to be fine. One thing about Song of Ice and Fire is you don't know if they're going to be fine, and so there's a lot more tension and there's a lot more investment in my reading of it than Wheel of Time.
Part of that, I will say, is because you are looking at the Wheel of Time is a 14 series book. 14 book series. Apologies. The Oban Little Bay single malt Scotch whiskey is starting to get to me a little bit. But so you know it's a 14 book series, so you know characters have to last that long.
Yeah.
Right. So it would be like reading the Lord of the Rings and being like, oh, what's going to happen to Frodo in the Fellowship? Well, you know that there's 2 other books, so you know something is going to happen to that point. But there are consequences to characters' actions. And that's the thing in Robert Jordan's world. They may not themselves really be at threat, particularly the Ta'veren characters.
Mm-hmm.
But there are consequences to their actions, and there's fallout from their actions, and that is the dramatical tension that's going on with those stories.
You'll see significant character development in all of them, basically, moving from books 5 through 12 as you go forward. It's a popular series for a reason. It's just, the characters do grow.
Oh yeah, the characters are. I mean, the fact that the characters are likable, is a big thing for me. And I did like the points that I made during my Eye of the World book video that I did. I mean, those were all the things I basically listed. Those were basically listed all the things I really liked about the book and everything. One thing I noticed about the best, especially books 2 and 3, there's less discovery of the world. There's less weird things about the world. Because book 2 is basically a chase. They're chasing Padan Fain to get the Horn of Valir and the dagger back, while Egwene and the girls go off and get themselves captured and everything, and they all meet up. One thing I know about the first the first 3 books, like you said, especially the end of books 2 and 3, they all converge at a location. So like in Great Hunt, they can all converge on Falme, all the characters, and then in book 3 they converge on Tyr. I'm guessing with these upcoming books, they don't do that anymore. Characters don't all converge in one area, based on, because I scanned the chapters to see where chapters take place and everything, and who's in them and who's the point of view and everything. And it's something I noticed. So
yeah, it definitely splits up a lot more, and that's one of the reasons why people go on about some of the mid books being difficult to get through. Is because there's a lot of different characters in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things.
All at the same time, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. The slog.
They're doing, sometimes they do some really cool stuff, and it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. But then if you think about, the last 2 Song of Ice and Fire books are both happening simultaneously, right? Because there's so many characters doing so many different things in so many different places. So
I do. I've never read the books individually. I've done 2 reads of Song of Ice and Fire. I do Feast for Dragons. That's how I do it. So I read some chapters of Feast, and then I read some chapters of Dance, and then I go back to Feast, and I go back to Dance. It's like a cycle. It's a dance. The read is a dance for me. So
really, you never have a dance without a feast.
Exactly. You need the energy and all that. And what's funny is those books are people do not like those books. I love those books. I actually love, even though the big problem with Dance is that it was supposed to build up to 2 battles, and the 2 battles didn't even happen. Yeah. And we still haven't seen them happen because Winds of Winter is 12 years late, or 12 years,
Do you think he's going to finish? I don't think he is.
I mean,
that's a shame, because I am a fan of those books as well. I really enjoyed the first 3 especially. I
think Winds, there might be a chance for Winds to be published. According to him, he's 75% done as of I think earlier this year. So it's going to take him another 7 years to finish the final 25%. Assuming
that's why I think Winds is going to be split into 2 books.
You think so?
Yeah,
I think
if you look at like the word count for his characters historically, what he has to do now is at the limits of what physical publishing can do. Like a physical book cannot contain that many pages without falling apart. Hello, this person. Don Ranger Power.
Don Ranger Power.
Yep. He says David McCallum passed away from the man from UNCLE. Man from Uncle.
Those were good series too. Like those old spy series, like the
Mission
old Avengers
Impossible
show.
Yeah, I never saw the old Avengers show. I was familiar with it because they came out with the remake, or they came out with a movie adaptation
Sean
with
Connery villain,
Sean.
Yeah,
Yep.
with the
where he was fully in his phoning it in phase.
big.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, it was like one of the last things he did. To be,
I think he did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen after that, and that was the last thing he did.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Who was the girl in the original Avengers? Was it Diana Rigg?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
think so.
She may not have been the original one, but I think she was the one that was.
Oh no, maybe it was what's her name? Pussy Galore. Honor Blackman was her name. My name is Pussy Galore. Oh, I must be dreaming.
Pussy.
I love those movies. I love Goldfinger. I must be dreaming.
Of course you are.
You know what's funny? I didn't know this about Martin because I was listening to a couple weeks ago. I was listening to Brandon Sanders because I just subscribed to Brandon Sanderson's channel, and he was talking about how he got involved with writing the last Wheel of Time books. Apparently, Harriet was originally going to ask Martin to finish Wheel of Time. I was thinking about, I was like, no fucking way. And then there's like, no fucking way. He was already, at that point, he was getting so much shit by the time Jordan passed away in 2007, Martin was late with Dance with Dragons because he promised Dance with Dragons. Feast came out in 2005. The end of if you read the book, it says, he leaves a note saying, sorry, this is half of a book. I promise Dance will be out next year, 2006.
So here's the thing. If Martin was contracted to finish Wheel of Time, would we have the Wheel of Time show?
Possibly. I mean, imagine what he would do with a character like Rand, with the ability to kill anybody just by like thinking about it. Like the amount of carnage that's in George Martin's stories with just swords and spears.
It would be gratuitous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one thing that Robert Jordan stuff was never.
Right.
It was never gratuitous.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a lot of salacious and flirtatious stuff, but it was never gratuitous.
Okay. Makes sense. So I wouldn't think there would be any red wedding type of events in Wheel of Time.
There's a couple spicy moments, no spoilers, but nothing like the Red Wedding. No,
I didn't think so. And then the show made it even more gratuitous by, oh my God, a pregnant woman being stabbed. Like I'll be honest. I first watched the Red Wedding before I read the Red Wedding. It's weird saying read the Red Wedding. So a little bit on the tongue, but I'm seeing that. I'm like, my reaction was like everyone else's reaction who watched the show first before reading that. Yeah, I was just like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? Because like I literally like my there was tension at the beginning of that episode, The Reigns of Castamere, and then I like a fool that I was, young sweet summer child I was, when I watched it, my guard was down. And then, of course, you see the thing that starts it off. Lady Stark sees Roose Bolton's arm, and Roose Bolton's arm has she finds out he has the mail on, and she's like, "Oh shit, they're gonna attack," and all that. I was like, "What's going on?" And then all of a sudden, the guy comes up with a knife and starts stabbing Robb Stark's wife in the belly. I was like,
Talisa, I think, in the show.
Yeah, Talisa, and because in the book.
It was Jane Poole.
Jane Westerling.
Not Jane Poole, Jane Westerling.
Jane Westerling, and she wasn't even there, and she wasn't even pregnant. And the thing was, if she was pregnant, well, her parents were Lannister loyalists from the Crag, and they gave her moon tea without telling her. So any chance of Robb having an heir, gone.
Yeah, there's still people who theorize that she's still pregnant, but it's like, what does that serve the story at this point in time?
Yeah, exactly.
She's apparently supposed to be pretty prominent in the upcoming prologue for the Winds of Winter.
Yeah. Well, we all know every prologue means a point of view character dies, right?
So I'm assuming it's going to be. So I'm assuming the prologue point of view is going to be because at the where we last left off with Jane Westerling, she is being escorted to she's being escorted to Casterly Rock with Edmure Tully. I'm assuming that's going to be from the point of view of the guy that's supposed to be in charge of the guard that's escorting them. And I'm assuming they're going to be attacked and killed by the Brotherhood Without Banners and Lady Stoneheart.
Yeah, Stoneheart.
I do think it's possible that it's Blackfish.
Or Blackfish, because he got away. So in the show, he just dies off screen because that's when the show started getting
he might want Jane Westerling because Jane Westerling might be aware of the will of Robb's will.
Yeah. There were a lot of interesting things. Like there was the body of Ned Stark that never made it to Winterfell. We don't know what happened to the people. Like what's her name, Mage Mormont, and a few of the other Stark Bannermen, who we don't know what ultimately happened to them. They
were supposed to go on to what's his name, the Cranogmen.
Yeah, so Greywater Watch, Howland Reed, and all that. We never met Howland. We haven't met Howland Reed yet, and the show they didn't even bother putting Howland Reed in the series at all.
Well, he was in that Ned flashback.
Yeah, the flashback when.
That's true.
But that was
the Tower of Joy. Yeah, and that was it. And then they, of course, the brother gets killed, Jojen. And the sister just leaves. She's just like, Bran, I don't know you anymore. You're going down a path I can't follow. And then she leaves. And then we don't see her again. We didn't see her in the final season at all. Not even at that council at the end, which was awful.
Yeah. Well, they realized that in the show that they had too many plot lines to follow for the show. Well, not really, but they realized that they had too many plot lines to follow with any serious depth to it. And so they diminished the Dorne plot line almost entirely.
That Dorne plot line was a travesty.
Yeah.
Like there was a good story that the books was setting up. Like I would have rather seen that, and then had they asked Martin to say, hey, how's this, what ultimately happens here? Bring in Darkstar. Bring in.
Yeah.
Well, they eliminated Aegon / Fagon, right?
And they eliminated Arianne Martell. They eliminated. Well,
they don't have or nowhere near as prominently mentioned Marwyn the Mage, the Maester at the Citadel, right? Like he seems to have a finger and toe in everything. Like he comes up in every storyline, right?
I think we see him once. Yeah. We see Marwyn once, and the moment that Sam arrives at the Citadel in Old Town, he leaves to go look for Daenerys. He's like, I'm going to join Daenerys as her maester, because I don't think because I thought we were going to see him. We thought he was going to be in the show, but they ended up putting a different maester in for that was played by what's his name from Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. That one professor, I forget the actor's name.
That Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull has almost entirely escaped my mind.
I forgot the actor's name though. He basically replaces Marcus Brody, Denholm Elliott's character, so to speak, the head of the university. So, but yeah, he plays the Archmaester in season 7, I believe. I liked the Old Town storyline. I really want to see more of, because we haven't seen anything of that since Feast for Crows, because that's
the Old Town storyline is also interwoven with the Ironborn storyline.
Yeah, with Euron, because Euron starts it.
Euron was a joke in the show, right? Like,
oh,
yeah,
geez,
he was the bad boy.
I'll be remembered as the man who killed Jaime Lannister.
Shut up! Like, you had the best. Like, if you just read this episode, what's funny is the chapter that is good. It's called The Forsaken.
Yeah,
The Forsaken.
Victarion, right?
No, Aeron, the Dhampir, and he's being tortured by Euron. He's being tortured, and he's being fed this
sensory
potion.
deprivation plus the nightshade or whatever tea that the warlocks use.
And the whole idea of, like him thinking back to childhood, and Euron always saying to him, you're always the nights you were lucky, I always passed your room and everything, saying that, Euron molested his brother, just he's an evil piece of shit. And you're just like, damn, like you thought Ramsay was bad, like this guy, like Euron's way worse. And I want to see more of it. I want to see that evil warlock pirate.
Right. Victarion was cool too.
Yeah, Victarion was basically the dumb honorable, well, I wouldn't say honorable, but the dumb brother that just, followed the rules and all that. It was like, yeah.
I thought the part with his hand getting turned to charred crisp was neat. Am I remembering that right? When he's getting
with Mokoro?
Yeah.
The Maester can't heal him fully.
Right, so he goes for the blood magic.
Yeah. And the Maester also complains that he's getting abused by the crew because he looks pretty.
Right.
And so Victarion's like, well, we're returning to the old ways, and that is an abomination, so I'm going to execute you for being molested.
I forgot about that.
Tough. That sucks to be him, I guess. God. I think those books had such good moments. It's a shame if it's going to drag on into nothing. I would love to reread them again and just finish the whole series up.
Yeah, because I mean, the second time I read them, I really enjoyed them, and it was because of those books that I was paying close attention reading Wheel of Time, especially reading, like, seeing hints and indications and everything. So in Dragon Reborn, I was able to see when the Gray People, because I'm going to be politically correct here, the Gray People were coming. And whenever Jordan uses the word ordinary, I was like, oh, they're in trouble. They're going to be attacked by these ordinary people. Because that's what the Gray Men are. They're ordinary.
So ordinary that the eyes just pass right over them, right?
It's like,
absolutely.
Who's that guy with the knife?
Yeah.
It's Vince.
So
the Gray People. Like, I'm a Gray person.
Yeah, because I have to, because saying, like they don't, like, I'm in the city. We have wards and we have aldermen. Well, we don't have aldermen anymore. We have alder people now. And so
I'm gonna have to check on my brother again. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I was thinking, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah, I can't stay much longer.
Yeah, and 2 hours is long enough. Got some stuff to do. I gotta get ready for work tomorrow. It's already night. So
thank you for indulging me and letting me on your streams.
Yeah, I mean, it's members only. I mean, I know a lot of people are busy doing a lot of people are busy. This was something I just kind of I needed to do something. I didn't want to clash with Steve, because I know Steve has been doing his What's Happening streams, because especially now with Wheel of Time, it's important. He's gotten a lot of new subscribers because of his stuff, and so I mean, I just wanted to do something. I just didn't want to collide with him, and it's pretty cool having having you guys on and all that. Heck, I got my own troll and everything, so that's always a nice thing.
It was nice reminiscing about Quark's Bar. That was 2004. It wasn't 2007. I was wrong. I had to remember back to
when you went to the experience.
Yes. Was
Okay.
2000.
So I love the I really love the Quark episodes. Like a lot of people say the Quark episodes aren't the best. I'm like, no, dude, the Quark episodes were phenomenal.
That man hit a home run every sentence out of his mouth, like with like 15 pounds of Ferengi head makeup on.
Yeah, insane. Every day.
An actor who was really devoted to the craft and the character and the story.
That's right.
Well, they gave him all the best lines.
That's right. They did.
They gave like if there was going to be something cool to say, they gave it to Quark.
Yes, and yeah, like he talks about like one of his best moments in the show was when he's with he's actually present in the siege of AR-88 or something. It's the episode where Nog gets injured to the point where he loses his leg and all that. And he's talking. And Quark has this powerful speech. He's talking about like about the nature of people, and if you take away their creature comforts, they become we become mad. We become monsters too. And that's something I never forgot. Like I'll be honest, like I have not a lot of respect for a lot of Star Trek actors now. So, like I don't think I have any respect for any of the TNG actors whatsoever. Well, maybe Michael Dorn, but I don't really have a lot of respect for a lot of the Star Trek actors nowadays, even the older stuff. But I would love to talk to and get a picture with Armin Shimmerman. So I already met Andrew Robinson, got a picture with him. He played Garrick. I loved it. He was very, very. I thought he was very cool to talk to. There's some celebrities that we'll talk to, and those are the ones that I like. I don't like to go after really popular people because I don't know. Either they don't have time or it's just so how would I say it? I don't know. It's hard to explain for me. It's just they're not as into it. Like they're just like you come in, they're just interested in your money. You come in, you're just like you're just another piece of meat. Get a picture taken, next, type of deal.
$20.
Yeah, pretty much.
Some of the recurring cast were always interesting, like Jeffrey Combs.
Oh yeah.
Who a very famous actor, Lon Suter from Voyager.
Oh yeah, Brad Dourif, Wormtongue, Green Wormtongue, Chucky.
Chucky, exactly. He was in.
You fucking bitch!
There was the king of Jordan was on Voyager. He was the prince at the time. He didn't have a speaking part, but he was a huge Star Trek fan, and he appeared on the bridge and handed a data pad to Janeway, and she said, "Thank you, Ensign so and so," and that was the Crown Prince of Jordan at the time, now King Abdullah. So that's perhaps. I think that's he may be the most wealthy cast member who's ever appeared on Star Trek. I don't know. Really,
I had no idea.
King Abdullah, yeah, he was on Voyager.
King Abdullah.
Abdullah of Jordan. He wasn't the king at the time, but he was the crown prince. But
okay, because I think it was a king. King Hussein was still a king back then.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think. I'll have to look. I'll have to find out about that now. I'll have to remember that.
I remember it.
Voyager, I watched. Voyager, I actually watched. I didn't watch Voyager from start to finish. I started with season 4. So what got me into Voyager was Scorpion Part 1. So I started watching some episodes of season 3. I was watching all the summer reruns, but it was Scorpion. But it was Scorpion Part 1 that got me into Voyager, and then 7 of 9 came in Scorpion Part 2, and then the rest of the show was a treat to watch after that. I mean, yes. Jesus, Jerry Ryan back then. I liked 7 of 9 back then. One of the things that Picard season 1 really I can't forgive is how they ruined 7 of 9.
Of course they had.
Well, actually, it's not 7 of 9. It's Jerry Ryan playing Jerry Ryan with 7 of 9 makeup, with Borg makeup. So
no comment. It's a sad thing. It happens to everything now. But
yeah, like a lot of people love Picard season 3, and 7 of 9 or Jerry Ryan becomes captain of the new. So it was originally the Titan A, and then it becomes the Enterprise G or something now.
The captain of that ship got a raw deal.
Yeah, Captain Dipshit from. I mean, where do you think Dipshit from Chicago came from? So I mean, yeah.
It started off pretty promising with him, like not giving a damn about Riker and Picard's record and their achievements and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I agree. And then they just kind of killed him. They turned him into a coward when they had this stupid, because they had to have a Negan type of scenario where Vadic is holding.
That's another thing that really irritates me about modern writing, both in books and in shows. Everything is almost a transplant from something else. It's just not like taking something and making it your own. It's just taking something and putting it in your thing.
This is popular now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I'm trying to understand why so many people are praising Picard season 3, because it did that. It copied Star Wars. It copied Return of the Jedi at the end. It was basically Enterprise D, the Millennium Falcon going into the Death Star or the Borg cube. Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
Dangling keys in front of infants who are desperate for attention and into action.
And everyone's saying it was like the best fan service ever. I mean, like, okay, this series was better than the other seasons. I won't give them that. I mean, I won't deny that. But is it the best in New Trek? Probably is the best in New Trek, to be honest. But that's a very low fucking bar.
I tried to watch Picard. I couldn't get past the first couple episodes of season 1. It was just
season 1's awful.
It wasn't the character.
So low in the ground, it's 6 feet under.
How could they
you
call
just
that
have to
character?
be alive to pass that bar.
Yeah. And so I went into season 3 because Robert Meyer Burnett said this is because he read the scripts and he saw the show months before it aired, before Paramount Plus released it. And then a bunch of other people, got their hands on the first 6 episodes. Dave Cullen and a whole bunch of other people got a hold of it. And they're saying the exact same thing. Like, this is the Star Trek. This is TNG season 8. This is what Star Trek truly is. And I was like, oh, I got excited because, like, I'm like, oh, good. I get to see the Star Trek that I like again. It's not going to be the same crap. And I wanted, Steve's my stream bro, and he's very good at analyzing and, critiquing TV much better than I am. And I was like, let's watch it together. I was excited. He was willing to do it. And so we were doing the live watches, and he saw the problems right away. And I started seeing some problems too, because the first thing that I noticed, obviously there was the whole mystery element in the very first scene where Beverly is engaging those aliens that come aboard her ship and everything. We don't know who they are, but I'm assuming they're solid. That's why they're using phasers, and that's why she's using phasers on them. And I'm assuming they want to kill her, right? Well, we find out that they're shapeshifters from Deep Space Nine. Shapeshifters from Deep Space Nine don't use phasers. They don't need to.
No,
they can just turn into a puddle, travel along the floor, materialize behind the person, and kill them. Just turn their arms into tentacles and be done with them. That's it. If they truly wanted to kill them.
I'm not the biggest Trekkie person out there, but I seem to recall Odo taking some phaser fire hits and not being particularly affected by them.
Cave ceilings collapsed on Odo, and it bounced off. I mean, they were obviously styrofoam, and they did bounce off of the actor. But strictly speaking, he tanked a cave in a couple times, I think. The founders were no joke.
No, they weren't.
The Great Link was formidable, and the Federation is probably incredibly lucky to have survived that war. I mean, not to let the inner nerd come like screaming out, but Jem'Hadar were,
they're terrifying.
Yeah,
and they were awesome.
Yeah, well, and it's full consequential writing, right? Starting from one scene to the next, full continuity of storytelling, as opposed to what happens with Picard, with the Wheel of Time, with Rings of Power. The writers have an idea for a great scene or a great bit of snappy dialogue. And they write that scene and then try to find a way to piece all those different scenes that they've written together. And so there's no straight through run. There's no continuity. It's just, this is a cool scene. This is a cool scene. This is a cool scene. Don't all these things together make something great? It's like, no, it doesn't. You can have a lot of mediocre scenes put together in a way that makes the whole thing excellent. But you can have a lot of great scenes put together in a way that makes the whole thing garbage. And we're not even getting great scenes.
No.
So.
Yeah, that's I mean, that sounds about right. And like you said, like the characters, like they just don't act like the TNG characters. Just like a lot of people are saying that they act like themselves. They don't. Like Picard still acts like the old, as Pips put it, the doddering old man.
The other thing is like people forget about character growth and character development. Like Picard had gone through a lot through Next Generation, right? So Picard at the end of Next Generation is not the same as Picard at the beginning or Picard in the middle. But when people do stuff like fan fiction, which a lot of this stuff is kind of, I doubt that they're actually fans, but they have an idea of what part in that storyline of a character they like the best, and they take that character and they make that character stagnant in that particular mode. So they ignore all the character development, all the character growth, and have a character be one thing throughout the entirety of their story, which is obviously nonsensical, because a whole part of storytelling is a character's development and what they learn throughout that
how they change.
Yeah.
I mean, perfect example of that, you know, when we did the Lord of the Rings stream, the White Cloaks, the episode, the chapter, the Scouring of the Shire, perfect example of seeing our characters, you know, completely different from how they were, you know, how they were when they came back as to how they were when they left. So and Tolkien did it masterfully. Like it was one of the funniest chapters I've ever read because of that. So but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I totally agree. Like there's like this it's just like we're like instead of following the growth and following it further, they regress everybody just for the sake, because they don't have the talent to, you know, to continue writing and developing the character. Look at Han Solo and The Force Awakens. Look at Luke Skywalker being the failure in The Last Jedi. Look at Picard and Picard. Like Picard just, and there's nothing that leads up to it. We don't even really get a good insight. He quits Starfleet because
these characters that we've grown to love and respect and admire, characters who are examples of what we should aspire to be and are inspiration for us being able to be them, are completely subverted and turned into crass, bullish, hypersexual, deviant mentality, selfish, self-centered pieces of garbage that you wouldn't waste a single minute of your day on because of how terrible they are. And they're supposed to be these things that we want to exemplify in society.
Yeah.
I've got to jump off, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm gonna close out too. So it's getting late, and I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate everyone in the chat being here. This was a fun little talk. You know, it was fun talking, just chilling and talking about storytelling and everything. So
very pleasant.
Great to be on.
Do you guys have anything you want to promote? I don't know. That's something I always, you know, end streams with. You know, any projects, anything fun you want to share?
I've got an article I'm still in the process of finishing up. It'll be finished this week for sure, but it's on how a science fiction or fantasy writer can create a fantasy or science fiction language in their work that helps that work seem more real. So creating a realistic seeming language within the world and how that will benefit the story. That'll be sometime this week.
I mean, how many books can really say pulled it off? Obviously, Lord of the Rings. Tolkien created the language, created especially the Elvish language. Yeah.
Robert Jordan has some language in his. Martin has some in his. But a lot of times people end up just creating a new vocabulary, right?
Mm-hmm.
They take an English sentence and then are like, I'm going to make this word this word this word this.
Star Trek has Klingon.
Yeah.
I mean, Klingon's a full language. Yeah. So
there's that great story of that Portuguese and English person who met at a convention, and neither could speak the other's language, but they could both speak Klingon.
Yeah.
They met, fell in love, and got married because they both knew Klingon.
That's pretty funny. It's pretty cool. About you, LPK?
Nothing for me. Just
Nothing for you. Life.
Just turning in, getting cleaned up. That's
The
all.
wheel weaves as the wheel wills, sir. Appreciate you being on all that. So, for me, yeah. So there's Chilporial is gonna resume on Friday. I'm gonna have. It's gonna be an interesting one because I'm not just gonna have anyone. I'm gonna have the Alpha Chad Hiking Feanor because he was gifted a membership, so now he's a member. And yeah, so we're gonna be talking about the state of entertainment, definitely Lord of the Rings. I might even try to read a Silmarillion segment just to be on his level and everything. So I know Gaff, I know you're reading it too, you, Lady B, and Nathan. So yeah.
I think it's this coming Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I'll have to. I definitely need to check. I need to check that out. So, but yeah, so that's it. That's in the work. Been trying to figure out what video I want to do next. I think I'm going to do the 3K milestone thing first. What does Stay Corporeal mean? So probably everything we talked about.
And then you've got to do the Super Mario RPG second playthrough, right?
That's right. And I got my group.
Dempsey in the chat mentioned the Suikoden remaster or whatever.
I never even played the original.
you gotta play that original. That was an excellent game.
Okay,
absolutely fantastic. Suikoden 1 and 2, spectacular storytelling.
All right,
just beautiful games.
Yeah, those games, those JRPGs back in the day, back in the 90s. Some of the best shit.
Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 era, including the Nintendo 64, best era of video games.
I played 2 RPGs on the N64. I played Quest 64, which most people hate, and I played Aiden Chronicles, which is another one that everybody hated. So
the N64, along with the PlayStation 1, had a reproduction of Tactics Ogre. And had other Ogre Battle games. That's a great series of games that I could go on and do stuff to talk about, but you're ending the stream, so
yeah. So all right, so everybody, definitely. I can't wait for a Gadfly channel. I want to actually learn stuff. Learn some, expand my education and everything. And LPK, appreciate you being here. Want to keep those memes alive, sir. Keep those memes alive.
I'll get some
and
fresh
flowing.
ones out.
Keep them flowing like the Euphrates and the Tigris, unfettered by boundaries.
Goodness. An unfettered meme flow. That is just amazing to even think about it. Thank you, Kat.
All right, everybody.
Have
a good night and stay corporeal.
Stay corporeal.
Stay corporeal.